Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Cougar Sports Network for today's Northern Athletics Collegiate Conference matchup between the visiting Raiders of Milwaukee School of Engineering and the good old Concordia Chicago Cougars. My name's Kayla McLeod. I'll be on the call with you today, joined by the wonderful and the amazing Alfredo Jaramillo Ruiz. Alfredo, we've got ourselves a fantastic matchup here. These two teams have a lot of history. MSOE going on last season to take second in the conference. They were able to defeat the Cougars, but CUC is riding a bit of a high right now, coming off of a big win over Rockford to start NAC play 1-0. So I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a really good battle here today.
Yeah, this last game for the Cougars was actually a pretty good game. Despite the score, it was a 1-0 win, but they had over 50 shots, which is unheard of in any of these games this season. However, MSOE is not an easy team to beat. They actually have a 2-winning game streak right now, beating Dominican in the last game, which is another River Forest team, and then Wisconsin Okosh, they also beat them 2-1. Before that, they had taken about 4 losses and 1 tie, so it wasn't a great start for them. However, it has gotten better, and it looks to be that the Cougars also have gotten better within these last few games.
Absolutely, and as I mentioned, this is a team, two teams actually that have a lot of history, and in fact, the Cougars are chasing their first win over the Raiders since 2013. They're on a little bit of a dry spell against MSOE and looking to kind of break through that here, and it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a battle back and forth. We're going to see it happening all day as this Raiders offense can score, and that's something that we've seen the Cougars struggle with a little bit so far this season. We're seeing a lot of good things on the defensive end. We're seeing a lot of good runs on the offensive end. They're just not able to quite finish that and find the back of the net as often as they would hope. So I think we're going to need to see the Cougars really put that offensive burst to the test here today.
Yeah, this team is a very young, unexperienced team, so it's normal that sometimes there's mistakes, sometimes there's issues when going on attack or defending. But I think the more game time they get, the better they're going to be. We have only 2 goal scorers so far. It's Erica Flores and Angelina Moreno. They've each scored 1 goal, so let's hope that they can, provide a little bit more attack this game.
As we got kickoff underway here in River Forest, it is a bright and sunny day here on the campus of Concordia University, Chicago. 78 degrees, a little bit of clouds in the sky, shaping up to be a perfect game day here. And CUC starting the game off as they have been so far this season, just booting that ball down in their offensive end, hoping to get some production. And here we are with that burst, but it's going to be broken up here by the Raiders, who's going to try to make a run here on their own. Coming down here on the far side of the field, 3 Raiders trailing, looking to be able to get that cross in here. Cougar defense coming back, that strong back line, that cut inside just misses, but we're going to see the first shot of the day at the foot of Claire Bradford. As I mentioned, you had 3 Raiders cutting into the box. Really good opportunity there, and that's exactly what you want to see if you are a Raiders fan, is seeing that multiple people make that same run, so that in that situation where you've got that ball being fed in, misses that first person, you've got somebody there to be able to still have a nice clean shot. Cougars now coming down with their own. Moreno sends that one in, can't get through the Raider defense. A shot here just misses wide from Flores. So CUC answering right back, wasting no time trying to provide that offensive burst early on.
Yeah, I think one of the key factors in this game will be if the Cougars decide to push up very early on. However, MSOE have been making a few mistakes on defense, a little bit of a miscontrol, like maybe some loose balls there. So hopefully the Cougars can actually take those opportunities and, capitalize on them.
Throw in on the far side here for CUC. Something we saw from the CUC squad in their game against Rockford, and even looking back a little bit further throughout the season, they've really tried to dictate the tempo of the game, especially knowing that they're not able to produce what they're hoping for offensively right now. Being able to dictate that tempo, slow things down where they need to, speed things up where they need to, but really not let any team get comfortable in the pace of game has been something that has continued to work for CUC.
Yeah, this Cougars team, they have to try to maintain possession as much as possible, because it's always when they lose the ball and they get the counterattacks that they struggle the most in. So hopefully they can keep that possession as much as possible, and that will pretty much put a very difficult game on MSOE to actually try to score.
Another throw in here on the far side. That's going to be heading back the opposite direction for the Raiders. A long ball fed up. Nobody can quite get there. Urbanchek able to control it, sends it right back to the Raiders. And a beautiful run here coming down the far side of the field. I believe on that far side, that's Echevarria Abuen, but she's going to have that disrupted by Urbanchek. Great defense there from the Cougars and a really, really great run for the Raiders.
Yeah, like I previously mentioned, it's those counterattacks and when you lose possession, and then this was one of the cases in which they almost had a huge problem in the defense because of that loss of possession and that counterattack.
Sheriff now with the ball. And that's something we can talk about here, too, is the goalkeeper situation for CUC. We've seen 3 different keepers make a lot of appearances throughout the season. Brooke Sheriff now in her 7th game played on the season, but we've seen such split time between these 3 Cougar keepers in Naomi Gonzalez, Brooke Sheriff, and Caitlin Wagner. So it's something that that head coach of the Cougars, Eddie Garza, he's keeping that goalkeeper fresh and healthy, and being able to have multiple keepers to rely on and being able to interchange those throughout the games has been really key for the CUC squad. Run on the far side going to be poked out, and that's going to be a corner kick for the Raiders. First corner of the day. I believe Elizabeth Kuhn is on the far side taking that. She's going to send it in on the ground. It's going to be broken up by the Cougars. Kuhn coming back over. She's able to control it. Cuts back inside. She's going to have one from far out, and that's going to miss just wide. But a great turn and shoot there from Kuhn.
Yeah, it's no surprise that Kuhn is taking those kinds of shots. She actually is the top goal scorer for MSOE with 4 goals, and she also has 4 assists. So she's a very important player. She's a player that likes to go up a lot. She really likes to take a shot, take a chance, and you've seen that it pays off because 4 goals in 7 games, it's quite amazing.
Very impressive there for the senior from Aurora, Illinois. She's been an instrumental part of this team, as we've seen already here today. Raiders still controlling here in the midfield. That one's going to be sent down. Coming down, trying to track it is Bradford. She's going to be pushed out of the way by Schlissman, and that's going to be cleared out for a throw in for the Raiders. Feed in here to the top of the box. That's going to be stripped away. Cougar defense coming in clutch there as the Raiders were stacked across the top of the box looking to move that ball around. Sent down the opposite way. That's going to be dropped back to Sanchez in the goal. Long ball sent forward. Alvarado clears it out. It's going to be another throw in for MSOE. Kuhn drops that ball back into the midfield. Cutting across here, making ways down. That ball's going to be sent to the corner. Kuhn cutting inside. She's going to have another shot. Sheriff grabs it, bounces off of her, and she's able to secure it at last. But the Raiders' offense is really charging in. Sheriff had that one in her hands, and then it just bounced away, and it looked like Papa Zaglou was right there to be able to follow that shot up if Sheriff wasn't able to control it quickly.
MSOE seems to be taking a little bit more initiative now. In the first few minutes, they kind of lacked that. They had a few shots from the Cougars, but now they're looking to go forward a lot more. They're taking shots from actually like around the 30-yard line, the 20-yard line, which is pretty far off. But if the goalkeeper makes a mistake and then there's somebody there to finish it off, then I guess that's their strategy for now.
Yeah, and taking advantage of the space that they can. CUC defense doing a really good job of locking down the closer that they get to the net. So the Raiders already taking advantage of some space further outside, as you mentioned, around that, between that 20 and 30-yard line, those markers for the football field technically. But they're seeing that space, and if they've got the opportunities to put a shot on frame, they're going to absolutely take it, as Papazoglu sends that one down the far side, but Kuhn can't quite get there in time. It's going to be a throw in for CUC. Little back and forth here in the midfield. That's going to be sent back here. Flores now, she's going to try to send it forward, but a little bit too much juice on that one. Erica Flores couldn't quite get there. A little back and forth here in the midfield once again. CUC coming away with it. Erica Flores now with the ball. She's going to drop it back here. Urbanchek over to Schlisman. Schlisman trying to get there, get a touch on it. She does. Trying to cut back in for Burnap, but that's going to be broken up here by the Raiders. Looks like Klemecki was able to get that one stripped away from Burnap. Raiders now making a run. Long ball sent in. That's going to go right into the hands of Sheriff. Raiders had multiple people making a run on this near side here. Bradford trying to cut in from that corner. I think that's exactly where that ball was looking to be placed, just on the outside. Instead, right into the hands of Sheriff. Drop kick from Sheriff sent downfield. Natalie Flores now with the ball. She's going to send it forward. And that's going to go right into the hands of Sanchez. So these two keepers here on the field seeing a lot of action early on here in the game. Just under 35 minutes to play here in the half.
It's really strange. In the first about 2 to 3 minutes, the Cougars were pushing high up, and now they seem to have kind of stagnated in the midfield. Already MSOE has 4 shots, and the Cougars only have 1. But it doesn't seem like the Cougars are really taking control of the ball. That possession that I mentioned in the beginning, they're not really recovering it much.
Still trying to find that groove here early on. You know, we talked a little bit about it, about where the Cougars were at coming into the game. They just recently came off of that 1-0 win against Rockford to jump up to 1-0 in the NAC, a really good fresh start, but they had a tough non-conference stretch. We talked about them not really finding that burst offensively and being able to score some goals, but they played some top teams here in the area. They had a tough loss, season opener loss, I should say, against Elmhurst, and then went on to fall to Wisconsin Stevens Point and then Carthage. And those are 3 really, really strong contenders here in this region. So they've played a really difficult non-conference schedule before jumping into NAC play. And so while they still haven't entirely clicked on the offensive side, they've had a lot of difficult competition to prepare them for top teams like MSOE here.
Yeah, it's good that they struggle a little in the beginning of the season, because it's when everybody's kind of getting to know each other. A lot of these are freshmen. They don't know each other. They don't know how they play.
That ball is fed in and off the head of Papazoglu, and just wide, but a really good opportunity there. That ball was perfectly fed inside by Bradford, and you know, that's one of those that if it goes into the back of the net as a Cougar fan, you don't really want to see that, but a pretty goal is a pretty goal, and that was a great opportunity there for the Raiders. Fleischman sends that one in. Bradford has it batted around. A little bit of trouble here inside the box, and that's going to be cleared out by Alvarado.
Yeah, in those situations, you really just got to clear it anywhere. You can't have a ball rolling around in the box. Anybody that touches it, it can end up in the back of the net.
This one's fed in, and that's just going to get through everybody. Echevarria Abuen trying to catch the foot of someone inside the box. I think there was 2 or 3 Raiders there, and unfortunately no one could get a touch on it. That's going to go straight out for a Cougar throw-in. So best case scenario in that situation for CUC. Throw-in connected on by the Raiders. They're going to send it, drop it back into their half of the field, sending it all the way back to Sanchez. Really trying to pull that CUC squad further into their offensive end to open up some runs for the Raiders. Hirayama trying to challenge that one, can't quite get a foot on it. Flores sends that one ahead for Moreno, and that's going to be batted away by Klemecki. Little trip up there. They're going to stop the clock here, and it looks like we're going to get a yellow card. I believe that is Mendoza on the far side. Receiving that yellow card on that challenge there. It was a great opportunity and a great run for the Raiders, so breaking that up, unfortunately, is going to cost them that set piece here and a yellow card on it. But Raiders now have the ball placed near that 40-yard line, and they're going to send a long ball in. It's going to be batted around a little bit here. Yama clears it out. Flores with it. She's going to send it ahead. Flores now, she's making the run here. Flag is down on that. Nobody's running inside the box. She's finally got someone tracking in with her, but she can't quite connect with Burnap. An unfortunate situation there for the Cougars, as it was a great run for Flores. She was able to stay on side on that, broke at the perfect time, but nobody was quite trailing on the far side for her to be able to cross that ball in. And by the time she was able to get control of it, the Raiders' defense had caught up.
Yeah, even more than the run, the pass division to look for someone at that all the way in that corner. It's not an easy thing to do because you have pressure on you. You have a defender just trying to take the ball. And for you to be able to see somebody running down the wing and send it perfectly straight at them, it's fantastic. It's fantastic vision.
Absolutely, and that's something that we had discussed a little bit on, about how they haven't been able to score a lot, but they've got these runs and they're doing these things that you're seeing it come together. It's just not quite equating to that score, but those are the things that we've seen the Cougars be doing all season long, and I think that as they continue to do that, we're going to try to see that progress a little bit more each and every game.
Yeah, this team is one that knows they have amazing vision, they have amazing runs. The only issue is sometimes they give the pass a little bit too fast, a little bit too long, and they don't reach it. Or when they do reach it, there's already somebody on them because it was too big of a run.
Absolutely. So a lot of promising things that we're seeing already here today and that we've seen all season for the CUC squad. And I think that that's going to be a key here for them, really trying to control that, like you mentioned, controlling those passes a little bit, seeing that vision, because that's something that can be a little bit difficult here to see. But they've got that vision, as Schlissman can't quite get that one off her foot in time. She's going to have that one broken up by Bradford. And the Raiders now with an opportunity here. Little give and go there, but that's going to be broken up by Hirayama. Under 29 minutes now to play here in the first half. Dropping all the way back. And Sheriff's going to come out and take control of this one. She's going to have a little bit of pressure there. Really great pressure by Echevarria Abuen. Sheriff has to boot that one pretty far down, and it's going to end up at the feet of Sanchez. Keeper's having a lot of fun here early on. That one's going to be broken up and stolen here on the far side. The feed goes long. Cougars able to collect it quickly. clears that one out. Bradford not really making the run on that. But it looks like we have a Cougar player down on the field, so we're going to get a stoppage of time here. Athletic training staff coming out to take a look at her.
Yeah, it might have been a clash of the knees when they went for the ball. You never want that. Those are the most painful ones, and they could end up in something worse. But it seems like she's okay. She's already jogging back, so I don't think it's anything too bad.
It's always good to see any injured player get back up on their own free will, and then obviously let alone jumping right back up and getting back into play and jogging their way down the field. Always a promising thing to see, but that's going to bring a throw in here for the Raiders. Jamiola with that throw in. She's got the ball here, going to be challenged a little bit by Flores. And now they're going to give the throw in to CUC. A little back and forth there. I think both players thought the ball was out. The near side ref didn't call it out right away. But we're going to see our first substitutions here coming in for CUC. Coming off the field is Erica Flores, Morgan Burnap, and Emma Schlissman, all coming off the field, getting some new faces here for CUC. Looks like we are going to see number 14, Jasleen Gruel, coming in. Number 16, Sophia Cazares. And I didn't quite catch that number of that last sub just yet. Potentially just 2 subs. Throw in here on that far side. It's going to be coming right back down. A little back and forth here. Raiders controlling. Long ball sent in by Martinez. Tried to connect on with Flores. Little batted around. Contact in the box, no call. Cazares trying to get one off on her left foot. She can't. That's blocked. Raiders cleared out. Mendoza here. She's got control. She's going to feed it in. Great touch there by Martinez. She's looking to feed it in. Nobody's making that run. Cleared out once again by the Raiders. Cazares now with it. Sends it down for Martinez. Martinez sends this one into the box. And that's going to be right into the hands of Sanchez. Cougar offense did a great job of crashing in to try to get a touch on that.
Yeah, that duo over there with Cazares and Martinez, they've been great, especially Sofia Cazares. She's got 1 assist, and despite it only being 1 assist, she's been very important with crosses, with a lot of attacking plays. So we want to see that a little bit more in this game.
Absolutely, as that ball is going to be sent out by the Cougar defense. Raiders collapsing in on that far side. It's going to be a throw in for MSOE. Sends that one far down. Schlissman able to clear that one out. It's going to be a throw in for the Raiders. CUC defense collapsing in here, trying to turn. Can't quite get control of it. That's going to be a shot from outside, deflected by the Cougars. Sheriff was ready for it, but instead that's going to be attempted to clear out. But the Raiders still have it here. A feed in and just misses everybody on that backside. Kuhn trying to find somebody, and nobody can quite get a head on it. So that's going to bring in a CUC sub and a CUC throw-in. Coming in for the Cougars is Grace Chavez. A little back and forth. Cougars bench saying they're throwing, and they are right. CUC moving quickly, try to get that in. Flores keeps control of it. She tries to send it just up the line to hit Alexa Martinez, but can't quite keep it in place. That's going to be a throw in now for the Raiders. And they're trying to move quickly here too.
This game has really fallen into the midfield. They don't really move anywhere from there anymore. The keepers get maybe the ball every once in a while from a pass back to them, but it's really being played a lot in the midfield. Both teams seem to be trying to get control of the ball, but none of them are really trying anymore compared to how they started the game.
Yeah, it's definitely a different pace of game from those first few minutes to where we're at now. I think early on in those goings, you mentioned it, that it was a really fast-paced game. Both teams were really trying to set that example. They were trying to come out from the start and really just come out shots firing, and now we're kind of seeing them settle in a little bit. You know, they're playing the long game and just trying to make sure that they're not giving up anything silly, but they're not going to be attacking too much on it.
Yeah, perhaps it's the heat. Maybe it's starting to settle in. The sun is hitting really hard on them, so maybe they're noticing that this is going to be a pretty long game, and they still have more than probably 60 minutes to go, and they can't really burn themselves out in the first few minutes if they want to continue to attack in the next half.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the weather absolutely does play a factor into it. Here in the Chicagoland area, the last couple of weeks, we've seen those temperatures start to drop and really starting to feel like fall. And then in the last week or so, those temps have jumped right back up, and we're in the 80s here today, high UV, sun shining bright. So it's really a little bit of a back and forth and getting back into that tempo of playing under that hot sun and taking care of yourself as an athlete in that. It definitely is going to make an impact on how we're playing here today.
Yeah, and I'm assuming it's going to be this kind of weather is a little bit different to what MSOE is used to up there in Wisconsin. The Cougars, well, they should be a little bit more used to it since Chicago really has that kind of weird weather where one day it's raining, the next day it's really hot, the next day it's really cold. It's really strange.
Absolutely, but that's what we love about the Chicagoland area, as this is a close call there. Sheriff coming out, she's diving at the ball. That was at the foot of Kuhn, a really dangerous place to be. But Brooke Sheriff showing her senior expertise and scooping up that ball and keeping this at a 0-0 game. Flores sends that one down. Martinez trying to track it down, can't quite get there. Raiders back in the midfield here. They drop that back, going to be bounced off a CUC body. So throw in for the Raiders. Throw in here for the Raiders. Slow roller kind of going out of bounds there, but that's going to bring in some subs on both sides. We're going to see MSOE making their first changes here of the day. CUC keeping a really nice rotation here. We've seen a handful of subs already. We've seen a lot of people making some adjustments. Now coming in here on this back line is Reagan Espinoza Suarez. So we're seeing really the Cougars trying to stay as fresh as possible.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of subs. One thing I really did want to mention, and I always mention it in every game because I find it very interesting, is the number 9 player playing as a defender. You don't see that at all. Like, I don't think you ever really see that. Usually the number 9 is the one up top, the striker, the one who scores goals. But in this case, it's more of a fullback to center back position, and that's just a very interesting fact that I like about this Cougars team.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say I mentioned that the first time that I saw Espinoza Suarez stepping on the field as well, that you don't see that too often. And she's come in as a freshman, and she's really made her impact here on the Cougars already. We've seen her get a handful of starts this season. She's obviously coming in fresh off the bench, so she's proving to be an impactful player on the CUC squad. And it's a fun little tidbit there for some of those that might not necessarily know the inner workings of soccer and how you typically see those numbers placed.
Yeah, and it's nice to see that she's getting minutes because she's a freshman, so she's trying to, it's her first year. She's kind of nervous in the first few games, but the more she plays, the more she gets experience in this kind of level, the better she's going to look, and the more game time she's going to get. And it's going to be interesting to see for the following years to have a number 9 over on defense.
Absolutely. As the Raiders trying to get that in, but that's going to be batted away. Talking a little bit about those fresh legs in for CUC, but the Raiders, like I mentioned, they made their first substitutions here of the day now on the field for them. Number 13, Olivia Zerson, and number 16, Hadley Ostrenga. So seeing some fresh legs and seeing on that far side, looking like we're going to see a couple more checking in here in just a few minutes for the Raiders. So they're trying to kind of keep up with that same fresh legs mentality that CUC is playing with. Both of these teams have a pretty deep bench, and so being able to rely on your bench, especially when you're playing this back and forth game in the midfield where you're just, it's intense. You know, you can talk about how fun it is when you're playing on offense. You can talk about how draining it is when you're playing on defense. But when you're playing in this back and forth in that midfield, it's taxing. You're playing physical. You're playing fast. You're playing hard just to try to break something open. So being able to have a deep bench for both of these teams is a really key in keeping this as intense as it's been so far.
Yeah, as a starting player, you always want to get game time. You always want to be playing as much as possible. However, if you don't have a deep bench,
as that shot finds the back of the net from far out, a monster shot from just outside of the box. A little back and forth scuffle from the Cougars and Raiders, and I think CUC was in a little bit of disbelief. They didn't get a call on that prior, but the Raiders taking advantage of that, and oh my goodness, what a rocket of a shot from Ostrenga.
Yeah, nothing to say there. I mean, it's unbelievable shot going into the top corner. No way that any goalkeeper would be able to save that. It also was very unexpected because it didn't seem like they were gonna take a shot or they were gonna try to go forward like that. It was a lost ball, and then one shot, one little mistake, and it ends up costing you big.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're talking about when we're seeing those long shots coming from the Raiders. They're finding where they've got that space and they're taking it. She was coming down quick, and then she was able to cut back and get that shot off with her right foot. And it was incredible to see that come to fruition for the Raiders. We talked about it already in the early goings of this game that they're not going to be afraid to strike from anywhere.
Yeah, honestly, I feel a little bit bad for the goalkeeper because she could not do anything in that situation. She did try to stretch as much as possible to get a hand on it. Didn't, and, well, now it's 1-0, and the Cougars are trying to kind of go against this now and equalize it in the last 16 minutes of the first half.
Yeah, Sheriff really doing her best to get there, but that is just a tough shot to get any piece of that upper backside corner. I mean, you see that happen in the NWSL and Premier League, and there's just nothing that you can do about it. Some goalkeepers at the professional level can't even get a hand on that.
Yeah, and it's not easy to take a shot and put it in the top corner. I mean, usually a lot of the shots go anywhere in the middle of the goal. So to actually be able to place it up there, it's unbelievably hard, even for a professional.
So as you mentioned, CUC now playing down 1-0 with just under 16 to play here in the first half. But CUC not slowing down. We're seeing them continue to make those offensive runs and really challenge here in the midfield as this ball is going to fall into the foot of Kuhn. She's going to find space here. She's coming down. Urbanchek on her back. Lots of space, but Urbanchek's going to challenge that. And we're going to see a goal kick here for the Cougars. Really good defense there from Julia Urbanchek, the sophomore from New Lenox, Illinois.
Little detail to point out that would be the first goal of the season for Ostrenga Hadley. I hope I got that name right. But it's impressive to have this be your first goal of the season. It's always nice to score a screamer from that far.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, having an ESPN-worthy goal as your first of the season. Definitely something that the sophomore from Wauwatosa, Wisconsin is going to remember. Last season in her freshman campaign, having 2 goals on the year, and now already picking up 1 goal here in the early goings of the season realistically, so setting herself up for a productive season with the Raiders. Free kick here for the Cougars. That's going to be sent in off of the head of Fleischman, and that's going to be a throw in for CUC. Cougars trying to move quick here. Batting around once again. It's going to be sent down. I believe Cazares sent that in, just trying to keep that ball in play while the Cougars still had a little bit of structure inside the box, but ended up right into the hands of Sanchez. It's going to be a throw in for the Raiders. Little back and forth there from the head referee and that sideline referee, both signaling differently, but Raiders coming away with the throw in. That's going to be a long ball sent down. Urbanchak clears it out. Really great jump there for Papazaglou. Great cut inside here from Kuhn. She's going to send one, but Sheriff able to scoop that up with ease.
Thing I've noticed is that most of the shots that MSOE has taken have been from outside the box. They don't really, the Cougars have done a good job of not allowing them inside the box. However, those shots from outside the box, they really got to watch out. They really have to stay in front of the player, cover them, because it's been a constant all game. They've already got 8 shots, and most of them from outside the box, and actually the goal was from outside the box as well. So we see that it's a problem. We see that it's going to be something that the Cougars are going to struggle with, so they should really focus on that.
Really great challenge there from Chavez. Espinoza Suarez able to get the ball. She's trying to feed it right back to Chavez, but can't connect. And the Raiders coming away with it once again. It was a really, really great challenge from Chavez. She was back and forth for a little while, stayed right on the hip of, I believe, Caitlin Milligan, and was able to come away with it, but the Cougars just couldn't quite connect to capitalize on it. But we've seen the CUC team be really strong in their man-to-man coverage here, playing tight defense and really just trying to challenge every ball that they can. And I feel like that's something that we've seen a little bit different from last season to this season, is they're not afraid to make those challenges. They're not afraid to play aggressive, play hip-to-hip, shoulder-to-shoulder, and just really stay strong on the ball.
Yeah, I think when it comes to defending one-on-one, they do a really good job man-marking as well. The issue that they have is those long shots and set pieces. A lot of the corners, they're not won by the Cougars, and it's understandable since a lot of these players aren't really that tall, but still that's something that they really should work on when it comes to man-marking from set pieces, not just on one-on-one play.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something that we've seen the Cougars historically struggle with in the last few seasons, is winning that ball in the air. And you mentioned it, the height difference, not always an excuse, but when you've got players that are ranging from 5 foot to 5'8" as your tallest player on the CUC roster, and you're going up against anyone from 5'7", 5'9", even 5'10" here on this MSOE squad, it's really difficult to win those balls. But being able to stay aggressive on the ground is how you stay in this game.
Yeah, and even then, the tallest player on the team is Naomi Gonzalez, which is the goalkeeper. So that's pretty normal to see. It's just, however, the defenders are not actually over like about 5'6", most of them.
Seeing another few changes here on both sides as that ball is going to be fed in. A great ball catching the chest of the Raiders, and a long ball sent in. That's going to go into the hands of Sheriff. She's able to collect it, but as you mentioned, Alfredo, that was another shot from outside the box. We're seeing the Raiders consistently take advantage of that space that they have from deep.
Yeah, and it's not just the fact that they're shooting from outside the box, it's that they have a pretty strong shot. Because last game, in the game in which the Cougars shot over 50 times, a lot of the shots were not too strong. They were straight at the keeper. And in this case, MSOE is taking really good shots.
This ball broken here for Zerson, fed in, sending it right back. Can't quite connect on the first go. The second go is going to be broken up there by Jaimes, and a follow-up shot's going to go through the uprights. But really dangerous territory there for the Raiders. A great feed in and a great follow-up. And Jaimes being able to get a foot on the ball to break that up might have been the saving grace here from stopping this to become a 2-0 game.
Yeah, there's about 8 minutes left of the first half. The key for them to actually try to get back into this game is to just keep the ball as much as possible in this first half that is left. In the second half, they can, well, at halftime, they can just talk about what their strategy is going to be for the second half, because clearly this is not really working.
Yeah, and the Cougars are really doing a nice job of staying in it. That's something that you can see happen quite a bit is in the early goings of a game, especially when you fall behind, is losing that drive to continue to battle. But the Cougars are staying in it. They're trying to adjust here, but they're not giving up. They're challenging these balls, as we see there from Chavez just coming in and just being a disruptor and just trying to stay alive here in this first half. Like you mentioned, being able to get to halftime here in just under 8 minutes is going to be a great time to reset, but being able to stay focused and stay driven here in this first half, something that they got to do.
Yeah, and their attacking output hasn't been horrible at all. They've got 4 shots, so it's a pretty respectable amount of shots in the first half. But MSOE has more than doubled that attacking output with 10 shots already, which, I mean, the more shots you take, you're risking getting scored on again. So if the Cougars don't really fix that, if they don't take initiative and take control of the game, eventually they could be facing another goal or another 2 goals.
As Espinoza Suarez is going to be tripped up here by Ostrenga. So free kick for CUC, trying to shift some of that momentum back to the CUC offense, as being a little bit finicky here on the placement of the ball. Urbanchek dropping back just a couple of yards. She's going to send that one in now, and that's going to be one in the air by the Raiders. And coming down the field now is Zerson. Feeds it up here. Challenged once again by the Cougars. Chavez really, as I mentioned, being a disruptor. She's getting in and she's challenging those balls, and it's just not giving the Raiders anything clean and easily as she clears that one downfield. Maskery now, she's able to get a little bit of a touch on that one. And that's going to force the Raiders to drop this one all the way back to Sanchez, pulling the CUC offense back into their half of the field, their attacking half of the field, trying to free some things up for the Raider offense. Cutting across here in the midfield. It's going to be broken up by Espinoza Suarez. Long ball sent here for Zerson. Can't quite get there in time. It's going to be a throw in for CUC.
Last game I mentioned it. Stacy Maskery didn't get minutes. However, I want to see more of her. I think she's got a great technical ability. She's got a lot of pace. And the thing that I really liked in one of the games that she had was that she didn't just look for a pass. She tried to take a shot at goal from a distance, and it was actually pretty close. It was a little bit off target, but it just scraped the post. So if we can see a little bit more from her in that position, I think that she could become a very important player. And as well, she's a freshman, so she's just going to get better.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned it. Maskery coming in here, one of those more recent substitutions for CUC, and she's been an impact player so far this season. You mentioned that last game about her technicalities and how she's able to play, but we've seen her do that so far throughout this season. She's had some big-time minutes, even leading up to the first game of the season against Elmhurst. We've seen her make an appearance. Hasn't started in any game yet for the Cougars, but she's been appearing and giving good quality minutes, and we've seen her do that so far here today, providing that burst of energy here on the offensive end. Raiders now coming downfield here. Has that one broken up. Cougars give it right back to the Raiders in the midfield. Challenge there is going to be resulting in a free kick for the Raiders near the 40-yard line. This is a good middle distance from where the Raiders have enjoyed taking their shots from. You're too far out realistically to put a shot on frame, but as long as you can get that ball somewhere, I stand corrected. Oh my goodness. As that ball bounced almost in the goal, put it right on frame. Nobody from the Raiders even broke on that. They stayed perfectly in line. I was expecting that ball to drop just outside of the box and try to give somebody a chance to put that ball with a little bit more force, but instead that ball was nearly close to finding the goal.
Yeah, not to give Brooke Sheriff a difficult time, but you realistically, as a goalkeeper, you should not let the ball bounce like that, because in the bounce, you don't know where it can end up going. And in this case, it almost ended up going over her. It kind of complicated the situation a little bit more, so you have to come out and catch that while it's in the air.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. It was a weird distance to be able to realistically read, and like I mentioned, the Raider offense didn't really break. It was kind of a dangerously still moment, and so it was a strange one overall. But CUC not letting that falter them at all, keeping that momentum. We're going to see a free kick here. Cazares hitting the ground hard, but from about equal distance on the opposite side of the field, CUC has a free kick of their own.
From about the same distance as the last free kick.
Urbanchuk taking this one for CUC. She's going to place this one in the air, send it deep on her own. Oh my goodness. It was almost the exact same shot, the exact same outcome. You mentioned it, letting that ball bounce, and Sanchez was able to get one hand on it to try to stop that from bouncing into the goal, but I feel like I just watched the same play twice.
Yeah, it's pretty much a copy and paste of the last play we saw from around the same distance as well. Like I said, letting the ball bounce right before it comes to you in the goal, it's very dangerous. You don't know how the bounce is going to be.
A great shot attempt there from Urbanchuk, as this one's going to be crossed in, but nobody from the Raiders breaking down low, so right into the hands of Sheriff, who is going to hold the ball as long as she can. We are officially under 2 minutes to play here in half number one. CUC trailing 1-0, and Sheriff trying to ride the timeout as long as she can, getting her team into the locker room to try to resettle and regain here. This is still a very competitive game that we're watching, and both teams just really trying to continue to ride momentum as a little give and go there. Heading out of play, it's going to give a throw in for CUC. This one's going to be sent down. Chavez trying to get up and get a head on that, but just over the top of her. So that's going to give a throw in here for the Raiders. Under a minute now. That one's going to be cleared down. I think we're seeing both of these teams just ready for this half to end. Both teams slowing down quite a bit. We're seeing a lot of walking here. Everybody anticipating that halftime buzzer to be rang as this little back and forth battle. Another throw in for the Raiders. Hearing some cheers from the MSOE Raiders men's team sitting in the bleachers here in River Forest as they'll play game number 2 of today's doubleheader. Concordia men's soccer playing MSOE men's soccer for their second NAC matchup of the season, as clock's going to run out here on this one. A really good battle. Obviously, the Raiders are up 1-0. We've talked about it, but there is no true control of this game aside from that scoreboard indicator. These two teams are really just going back and forth. We're seeing a lot of that midfield battle, but I can't tell you if one team has more drive than the other. It's been a really consistent battle.
Yeah, when it comes to the game, I mean, the shots, if you look at the stats, it would indicate that MSOE is completely dominating the game. But when you actually watch the game, you see that the teams are a lot in the midfield. They really don't, nobody has really a lot of control of the game. It's just those long shots that, like, their stats keep going up and up because of those long shots. But in reality, the Cougars have an opportunity in this second half to come back and actually equalize this game.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, the difference in what the stat sheet says versus what's actually happening on the field. And that's that difficult piece is sometimes that stat sheet just, it's only that. It's only the numerical data, and you're not actually getting a feel for what's playing. So taking a look at it, obviously we've got that 1-0 score, but when you're looking at the shots, MSOE leading 11-4, shots on goal, MSOE leading 8-2, but those other things, you know, they're balancing out. Brooke Sheriff already has 7 saves on the game, and we're going to see that continue to happen here, as you mentioned, those long balls resulting in that change. But we're going to see these two teams continue to battle it out here in the second half. We've got about 14 minutes left in halftime, so we're going to take a quick break right here on the Cougar Sports Network. Don't go anywhere. Second half action coming up soon. Back here for some second half action. CUC and MSOE kicking things off right away. The Raiders coming down with aggression. Wasting absolutely no time as this first shot is going to go wide. If you're just now joining us, I'm Kayla McLeod, joined by Alfredo Jaramillo Ruiz, and it has been a fantastic back-and-forth battle so far in the first half.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that the first half has been pretty entertaining, at least when it comes to shots. I mean, the shots have been great from MSOE. From the Cougars, they've tried, they've pushed. They haven't gotten the goal. They haven't found that last pass to get the goal, but they still have an entire second half, so they should have enough time to equalize this.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, it's been entertaining, and we've seen a lot of good things as we're already seeing an early corner kick here for CUC. We talked about it as we closed the first half, but the stat sheet isn't entirely accurate as to what is actually happening here in this game. We're seeing a lot of great things and a lot of momentum that's just not connecting, and CUC coming out here in the second half, and they're immediately answering back to that Raiders attack and starting off here with, I believe, their first corner kick of the day. This ball is up and in deep, just over the head of everybody. Moreno was the last one on that line and just couldn't quite get there in time to get a header on it. Strong kick from Burnap, so a wasted corner here for CUC, and the Raiders trying to take advantage of it.
I mentioned this in the first half, which was the issue with set pieces, and I think that the same thing goes for when it's on attack. I don't think that the Cougars really do too great of a job in those corners. Sometimes they get some really good crosses. It's the issue is when it comes to actually finishing, getting your head on it. Most of the time, they do not win those balls.
Yeah, and that's something that we touched on as well in the first half is just the height difference. And CUC is not very strong at winning those balls in the air, but that's where they really come in and attack from the ground, as we're going to see an early shot here. It's going to go wide. Martinez able to collect it, keep it in play. She's going to send it back into the box, but just missing CUC. Really good attempts there. Like I mentioned, they're coming out aggressive. They're coming out and they're going to keep swinging and finding those opportunities. And the Raiders showing that they are also staying aggressive. Raiders dropping it back into their own half here. Looks like we've got, I believe, both teams' original starting lineups back on the field. Schlissman on the far side. She's trying to keep that ball in play. And they're going to say that it was out. So that's going to be a throw in here for the Raiders. Something to note specifically for CUC is Brooke Sheriff still in goal for the Cougars. We've seen throughout this season specifically, we've seen Coach Eddie Garza utilize his multiple keepers and interchanging them at halftime, just trying to keep them fresh. And Sheriff's been doing a nice job in the goal so far today. We've seen her go full games at a time, but it also isn't surprising when Coach Garza makes that halftime change. So Sheriff still in the net for the Cougars. She picked up 7 saves in half number 1 and looking to keep locking down for the Cougars here in half number 2.
Yeah, she's done a good job with the long shots. I think if, like they've always said, if something's not broken, don't change it. So in this case, same thing here. She's done a great job with those long shots. She hasn't made any major mistakes, and I think it's fair to have her stay in the goal for the second half. I mean, switching a keeper is not always the best idea as well, because you come in not in the same momentum as the rest of the players.
Raiders coming down now. That's going to be cleared out by CUC, but bouncing just off the foot of Burnap. So another opportunity here. Looked like, I believe, Fleischman wanted to maybe have that shot, but she instead pulled back and sends the pass across field here. Raiders trying to set up in their offensive zone. A feed in, a really nice feed. Able to keep it in is Gormley, and That's going to be a Raiders corner kick. Raiders' second corner here of the day. Again, going back to the Cougars not being able to win balls in the air. This is going to be extremely important for them to lock down, knowing that they're not strong in the air, but figuring out how that they can defend that as the Raiders breaking in here. Unsurprisingly, the Raiders find the first touch on it, but just as we suspected, the Cougars able to find that ball on the ground and clear it out quickly. A little back and forth here. Turning that corner. Trying to get a shot off, but couldn't. So the Cougars now coming down. And that is going to result in a free kick for the Raiders. Little aggressive battle there on that far side. I believe it was Natalie Flores trying to stay strong on the ball, but just a little bit too much.
Yeah, it's absolutely a foul, but you like to see how they play a little bit rough, they push each other over, and that seems to be a handball right there.
Momentum shifting right back to CUC, and we're seeing this halftime break really just kind of rejuvenating this Cougar squad. We're seeing them moving quickly, finding that tempo that they want to be playing at. Still not playing frantic at this point, but they're picking up the pace and they're picking up the aggression. This ball fed here on the near side to Martinez. She's got options inside the box. Martinez, as he steps, she cuts back. One-on-one defense here. She's going to be able to get that off on her right foot, and that's going to go just out of play. Really good effort there from Martinez. She's just trying to find space to send that ball in.
Yeah, those crosses are very, very tricky because it's almost like they're like a shot or a cross. It hit the post, which if I were a goalkeeper, I'd be pretty scared of that chance because a little bit more into the center, and that could have gone in without the goalkeeper even noticing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that also just kind of goes to talk about the expertise and that seniority out of this goalkeeper here for the Raiders. Senior goalkeeper, so she's got that experience and kind of understanding of that exact type of play, being in that situation where you can read that and see where that's going to go, and that's just that type of leadership that you want on the field if you're the Raiders. As that one going out of play on the opposite end, so a goal kick here for CUC. Nice sunshiny day here in River Forest, and the Cougars looking to continue that as that ball is going to be fed up. I believe Martinez might have been offside, so maybe a little bit of a saving grace there. As the Raiders now coming back on the opposite end here. Bradford with the ball in the midfield. She looks to send it up. She's going to get bodied there by the Cougars, and we are going to get a free kick from it.
Seems to be like the same type of game as the first half, just a back and forth for both teams. I mean, from about 35 yards out, we'll see if they take a shot like they did in the first half.
This one is going deep. That's going to be headed away by Alvarado. Cougars now controlling it here, looking to clear out. And Erica Flores clears it out. Martinez tries to get a touch on it to maybe try to control it, but instead that's going to be a deep throw in here for the Raiders. They're now moving quickly, trying to continue to hold this lead over CUC. Tight defense there from Martinez. Ball fed here on the near side to Gormley. She's coming down looking to get a cross off, but she's going to cut back, drop back here to Echevarria Abuen. She's going to send one deep, and the field goal is good, but the regular goal is not. So that's going to be a goal kick for CUC, and we're going to see our first substitution of the half for the Cougars. Now coming in for CUC is Sofia Cazares. Quick throw in for the Raiders. And that's going to be yet another goal kick here for CUC. Raiders really trying to pick up the pace, trying to steal that control back from CUC. I mentioned it earlier in the broadcast, and we're seeing it now. Concordia really likes to dictate the tempo, especially on their own home field. We've seen them so far this half pick things up, slow things down. They're really just trying to control what they can, especially while being in a deficit. And the Raiders, on the other hand, they're trying to take that right back. We're seeing them pick up the pace here as that ball is going to be rocketed off of the foot of, I believe, Klemecki, but just can't find the goal.
Yeah, the thing that the Cougars are doing well is trying to keep it at a 1-0 now, really letting them into the box and having goal-scoring opportunities. If they can do that for the rest of the game and they get an opportunity of counterattack.
Little give-and-go option there. Like you mentioned, that the Raiders are attacking. Cougars trying to counterattack, as you were in the middle of saying there, but the Raiders not giving them an opportunity, as that was a rocket of a shot. We've seen the Raiders, their one goal today, picking that upper corner of the goal. So any shot that is close from the Raiders has a chance of going in, as we've seen today.
Yeah, like previously mentioned, the counterattacks are what's going to get this team over the line if they want to equalize this, because currently they're not really pushing too much up like they did in the first half. However, they have very quick players up top, and that's a very, very positive thing that you always want in your attack. Because I know there's some players that are like just goal-scoring marksmen, and then what we have is a lot of players that are more agile, more quick, more winger type of style player.
Raiders now coming down with the ball here. Cutting back inside, frees up some space. Cougar defense not letting anything come easily for MSOE. Coming down here on the far side is Kuhn. She finds space. She's going to send it inside the box. Looking to get one touch. Couldn't quite get there. It was Fleischman. And the Cougars now have an opportunity on the other end. Cazares tries to send that one forward. Can't connect with Flores. Going to be cleared out by the Raiders. But we've seen that tempo pick up here once again. Just about 32 minutes here to play in this game. And both teams continuing to pressure. Slowly marching their way downfield. Another throw in here for CUC. They're moving quick. And one by one, they're marching about 5 yards at a time, trying to get that ball in, and the Raiders just getting a touch on it and sending it out. Now here, a little bit more time. That's going to be controlled here by CUC. Can't quite get control of it, but Burnap now in the midfield. She's going to send it over here to Schlissman. Schlissman coming down here on the near side and can't get that feed up to Martinez, so that's going to shift it back to the Raiders. Throw in here in the midfield.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit of a panicky moment in defense.
Has a one-on-one opportunity here for Bradford. Bradford's got space on the left side. That's going to get just past Sheriff. Cougar defense, they're in time to back it up, but Raider offense, nobody was making that run on that far side for Bradford. So she was operating in an ISO there, and she almost put that ball on frame, but realistically, if anybody else was tracking into the box, that would have been an easy put in for the Raiders. So you see a bit lucky on that. They did have defenders in position, but a really, really scary opportunity for the Raiders. As another shot just there from Kuhn, and gets past a diving Sheriff off target. That's going to be a goal kick for the Cougars, but we're seeing this Raider offense pick things up here in the second half.
Yeah, Elizabeth Kuhn is trying to score her 5th goal of the season. She really wants it. She's taken quite a few shots, and she's even had a few crosses that have been very dangerous. She's a very important player to this team, like we previously mentioned. And it's going to be very difficult for the Cougars to really lock her down.
Alvarado clears this one ahead, gets past Cazares. Raiders really fighting and battling here. Cazares looked flagged. Nobody was making that run, so instead she drops it back. Now is able to get that up. Flores gets a flick on it, but again, nobody there to make that run. Cazares now coming down. She's tracking here closer and closer to Sanchez. Flores trying to play some close defense there and hopefully get a touch, but the Raiders controlling this. They're sending that ball back upfield. Urbanchek collects it. And that's going to be a free kick for the Cougars. I believe they're going to say she was offsides on that initial run. Alvarado now, she's controlling her midfield. Cazares, a little bit of a tough touch there. That's going to send a long ball back to the Cougar defense here. Flores turns. She's got some space. Finds Natalie Flores on that far side. She tries to get one off on the ground and into the hands of Sanchez. Really good opportunity from CUC. Raiders coming down now. Broken up by Hirayama. The attempt for the give and go is broken up here by Mendoza. Flores tries to send it ahead to Erica Flores. And that's going to bounce all the way down. Throw in for CUC just at the flag.
We haven't really mentioned Mia Hirayama too much in this match, and Sofia Cáceres as well. They are two players that do not stop running at all. They have an amazing stamina. They cover a lot of space. They recover the ball a lot. They pressure a lot as well. Recently, you had just seen Sofia Cáceres go all the way up top, even though her position is more of a center attacking mid. She went all the way up top to pressure the goalkeeper.
Yeah, and those are some of those intangible things that they're not going to show up on the stat sheet. You're not going to know these things about these players and the athletes that they really are unless you're watching these games. Because the unfortunate part of soccer, as that ball is batted away by Sheriff, a very narrow save. And that's going to bring a corner kick here for the Raiders. But as I was saying, those are those intangibles that with soccer you don't get a lot of stats. You're looking at goals, you're looking at assists, you're looking at total points, but you're not seeing some of those things that make these players who they are. As that one is headed and right into the hands of Sheriff. Brooke Sheriff getting her money's worth today, racking up those saves as the Raiders continue to pressure.
She's having a fantastic game. I honestly thought that the first shot had gone in. I thought that it had slipped in after the save, but it actually ended up going out, which was an amazing save. Brooke Sheriff has really, really shown why she's been in this team for so many years.
Absolutely, and that experience from a senior keeper. Last season, she appeared and started in every game for the Cougars. She was the primary keeper, and she led the team in so many categories, and she's just a strong voice on that back line. And from a senior, that's exactly what you need to really get this team in motion, and she's showing why she should be in the net here today.
Yeah, you always want a captain, and usually those are either the midfielders or a defender. In this case, it's a goalkeeper, and she's done a fantastic job of really commanding that defense in front of her.
Good run there from Erica Flores. It's going to be broken up by the Raiders. It's going to bring a deep throw in for CUC. Excuse me, that's going to be a throw in for the Raiders. But a really good run from Flores, just trying to turn that corner, and the Raiders defense just doing their part to continue to control here. And now CUC has their opportunity for the throw in. Seeing some subs coming in for the Cougars. Something that we talked about in the first half was the importance of keeping fresh legs on the field. We've got a really deep bench on both sides for these two teams, and so being able to see a lot of faces coming in and make that impact, it's keeping this game exactly where it is. Coming down here is Echevarria Abuen. Can't quite get the ball off her foot. That's going to be broken up by Mendoza. Mendoza has that one broken up. And a little bit of back and forth here in the midfield. That's going to give a throw in for the Raiders. Hirayama clears that one up. Mendoza now finally able to break it through. And that's going to be a throw in for the Raiders. Taking a look at this MSOE squad from last season, they had an overall a pretty successful year within the NAC. Concordia fell to the Raiders in round 1 of the NAC tournament, but MSOE went on to play in the championship game, falling to Illinois Institute of Technology. But all season last year, we saw the Raiders absolutely dominate every opportunity that they could, and that really set them up into be a top contender in the NAC as they came into this season, and we're seeing why they're a top contender in the NAC here with how aggressive they're playing, the runs that they're making, and the overall just tempo that they're able to dictate.
This second half has been a little bit slow for the Cougars when it comes to attacking output. They only have 2 shots, and MSOE has already almost doubled their amount of shots in this second half from the first half. We'll say for the shots on goal, it looks pretty much the same, very similar to what just the overall shots is. It's a 10-shot to a 3-shot difference for the Cougars. And when it comes to the saves, I mean, the saves, it's been a lot easier of a game for the MSOE goalkeeper than it has been for Brooke Sheriff. Brooke Sheriff has 9 saves, and the MSOE goalkeeper has 3.
Substitution here for the Raiders. Coming in, getting some fresh legs on that front line as throw in here. Little give and go action here. Great run from the Raiders on the far side. That's going to be broken up by Urbanchek. Throw in, coming in, a little dangerous spot here. Raiders not giving up. That one's going to be blocked by the Cougars. A little bat around there. Deep shot there from Kuhn. Goes over the top. But lots of opportunities inside the box. Just batted around the Cougars. Cougar defenders just staying aggressive. Not letting a clean shot off.
Yeah, she took a shot. It was a little bit too high. And I mean, there's not much that's really going on with the Cougars right now other than defending. It's hard to see how they're going to really have any more opportunities.
As that shot, I believe, deflected off of the face of Alvarado. A really, really tough shot there. Sheriff able to collect it in, stop any goal-scoring opportunity, but a really hard shot. Looks like Alvarado is doing all right. She continues to stay in the game, but official just wanted to check things out, especially given that it was the potential for a head injury. But play resumes here. And, you know, we've talked a lot about Sheriff's ability to make some big-time saves here, but that Cougar defense really helping her out as much as they can, as we've talked a lot today about the majority of the shots for the Raiders coming from outside the box, and really anything that's coming inside the box, the defenders are locking in. They're not letting those shots come off cleanly, and that's something that, as a goalkeeper, knowing that you've got a strong back line that's going to defend you is a huge help.
Yeah, Alvarado and Urbanchik have been fantastic. I believe both of them have played the majority of the minutes in this game. And I've seen them in the last other games, they've been fantastic. I understand why Coach Eddie Garza keeps them on defense almost the entire game. They're very strong. They're not as quick as you would think, but they are very strong, and they can easily take you off the ball, no problem. They also have a great ability to clear the ball.
As Urbanchek clears that one out there as well. CUC still finding some offensive bursts. We saw Moreno have a couple of opportunities. She was controlling that ball just outside the box, looking to turn the corner, and just couldn't get a clean shot off. But CUC's making the correct runs that they need to. They're making some really good opportunities, but they're just not quite connecting and finishing. And it's something that it's those intangibles that if you're looking strictly at the stat sheet, you're not seeing those shots come off, but you're seeing when you're here and you're watching this CUC team, you're seeing their ability to connect or their ability to see where they should be connecting. And it's those intangibles that are a little bit difficult to put a number on. As we're going to see the flag go up on the far side, offsides for the Raiders. So free kick here for CUC. Sheriff sends this one just about midfield. Chavez tries to keep it in play, but that's going to go out and provide a throw in here for the Raiders. Under 20 minutes now to play in half number 2. Some back and forth action in the midfield results in a throw in for CUC. Cougars trying to move quickly down the field. That's going to be batted away, but the Raiders able to keep it in. Sends it back the opposite direction. Far side of the field, I believe that is Natalie Braun. Can't connect. CUC now with opportunities. Switches field, but that's going to be broken up here by Gormley. Kuhn sends it ahead. Flag's going to go up. A really great opportunity on the far side for Bradford, but quite a big step off sides. And CUC finding some saving grace in that far side flag.
Yeah, that was a great pass, but unfortunately the player was offside. It was a pretty clear offside as well. If she wasn't, that was going to be pretty much a one-on-one with the keeper. Very dangerous opportunity.
So free kick here for the Cougars. It's going to give the ball right back to the Raiders, but CUC clearing it downfield once again. The flick forward, Moreno, she stays onside. She's got a one-on-one here. Lets the Raiders defense come in. She looks to get a shot off. Instead, she tries to feed opposite flag, but that's going to be broken up there by Jamiola.
You know, they stopped doing, I feel like the Cougars have stopped doing what they did in last game, which is just taking those shots, taking those opportunities. Even if you're not too sure if you're going to get it on target, just take the opportunity. Finish the play is what a lot of the coaches will tell you. If it's between losing the ball and finishing the play, even if it doesn't even go on target, just finish the play. And in this case, I think she should have just taken the shot.
Yeah, having that space and in a one-on-one opportunity, you know, you've got one defender and then the keeper. So I guess essentially you're in a one-on-two situation. But if you've got the space to turn and get that ball off as quick as you can and take advantage of not crowding the box and those opportunities we haven't seen a whole lot for the CUC squad today. So like you mentioned, being able to capitalize on that is going to be key in CUC trying to come back from this 1-0 deficit.
Yeah, last game I saw them receiving the ball and then looking to take a shot. This game I feel like they're a little bit more hesitant, maybe because there's not as many opportunities.
Kuhn here on the near side. She feeds it in. That's going to be broken up by Alvarado, and it goes into the net. Alvarado trying to clear that ball out, and instead doesn't get a clean hit on it, and that's going to get just past Sheriff. I mean, that's something that we've seen Presley Alvarado do all season is breaking that up. And just unfortunately with the way that ball was coming in, it just, the backspin on it sent it right back into the net.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. She's been having such a fantastic game. She's been the best defender out there so far. Even last game, she did really well. She almost scored a goal last game. So to see that one of these moments in which it happens to every defender at some point, you get a cross in, you try to clear it, and unfortunately you don't make a good contact on it. It ends up in the back of the net. It feels terrible, but she has her teammates that are comforting her, that are telling her that it's going to be okay. It really is a very unfortunate situation for her.
Yeah, and we've talked about how strong that back line of Cougar defense is. We've seen them provide support for Sheriff on that back line. And so there's really no fault in that because that's exactly what they've been doing all game. That's exactly what we've been talking about is one of the strengths of this Cougar team is having those strong defenders on that back line helping Sheriff. She very easily could have let that ball go and hoped that Sheriff would get a hand on it or that nobody else would, but that's not what this Cougar defense is built on. This Cougar defense is built on playing aggressive, and unfortunately, like you mentioned, sometimes things just unfortunately happen in a way that you're not expecting it to, but being able to bounce back, as we're seeing here with a really good offensive burst, is key for this CUC team.
Yeah, those own goals happen even to the best defenders in the world. I mean, it's just a simple thing of it happens in the sport. There's an unfortunate mistake, and it ends up in the back of the net, and it's just really nothing you can do about it.
CUC now trails 2-0 and looking to stay aggressive as this one is going to be sent long downfield. Espinoza Suarez gets a head on it, and she's able to keep it in play. CUC staying aggressive. Natalie Flores turns that corner. She's got nothing but Greenfield in front of her. She's going to send that one just inside Moreno. She's got it. She turns. And they're going to say that she was offsides on that initial jump. From where I'm standing in the press box, I couldn't see this near side official throw his flag up. But that is going to result in a free kick for the Raiders.
Seems to be that she was slightly offside, but barely, very, very narrowly. It might have been maybe the foot. It's a very close call right there.
Raiders now coming down, and a great turn there from Kuhn. She's got space. She feeds it forward. Dangerous spot, a one-on-one. Brooke Sheriff is able to stop it, and another batted away by Alvarado. The Raiders can't capitalize on that opportunity, and that's exactly what we've been talking about all day. Sheriff has the support of her defense. She makes a fantastic save, can't get up in time, but Presley Alvarado, she's right there to make the second save herself.
Yeah, she's done a great job, like I said. I mean, being back there, but knowing that when your goalkeeper is outside of the area that she should be, or that she usually would be for one of those saves, going back into goal just in case that somebody takes a shot is vital, and she did great. She did great.
CUC trying to ride the momentum of a great defensive situation here, but the Raiders looking to move things forward fast, sends that into the midfield here, crosses it over, and Kuhn's going to slow things down. She sends a long ball in opposite. Flag stays down, but that ball just out of reach for Zerson. And we're going to see a flurry of subs here. Substitutions now coming in for both teams. Just over 12 minutes to play here in River Forest. This is game number 1 of a doubleheader. We've got men's soccer taking on MSOE right here on the Cougar Sports Network following the conclusion of this game right here, as that ball is looked to be crossed by Natalie Braun, but nobody trailing on that far side. Just a little bit too much power. That's going to be a goal kick for CUC.
It's a very strange game because although, like I said when we started the second half, the stats they look like MSOE has been completely dominating the entire game, but it's been more of a close game. the two goals are goals that realistically the own goal is just unfortunate, and then the first goal was an absolute screamer from outside the box. It's not like there's been full control.
As another screamer from outside the box, but Sheriff able to get a hand on it this time. She says, I have learned my lesson. I'm going to settle back and get a hand up blocking that back corner, but the Raiders, exactly as you were saying, Alfredo, they're taking advantage of that, and that long shot from outside has been working.
I think the most important player of this match for the Cougars has been Brooke Sheriff.
Absolutely. She's had a stellar day in the net as that one is going to be poked away. Raiders keep it alive. Hirayama trying to clear it out. But I would have to agree with you, as this game could very easily be out of reach and out of control if it wasn't for Brooke Sheriff. She's already got 13 saves here, and I mean, no signs of the Raider offense slowing down, but with that, no signs of Brooke Sheriff slowing down.
Yeah, Coach Eddie Garza is about to put an entirely new team. I believe he made about 5 subs at once.
And actually, looking at the stats, 13 saves here today. That is a new career high for Brooke Sheriff. So she's really putting in that work into the net and picking up a career high along the way.
It's always good to have your senior year be the year that you break your record amount of saves.
Raiders coming down quickly. Lots of space is Gormley. She's going to have one from far out. Off frame by at least a couple feet, but Sheriff, once again, not taking any chances. She's jumping, trying to get a hand on that, making sure that it's not going to find that top corner of the net yet again. Some more substitutions here on both sides. Fresh legs on the field across the board. CUC has just under 10 minutes to continue to push here and try to close this gap a little bit.
I usually like more when Izzy Fairless plays as a striker. I feel like sending the through ball to her is a fantastic opportunity to score. But I think in this game, having her as a winger really would open up a lot more chances of having a cross, of going forward, because those through balls have not really been happening in the last few minutes. So maybe if she can be the creative one to make those opportunities happen, then the Cougars can have a chance to at least score one goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And a free kick here for the Raiders is going to put some pressure back on that CUC defense. But looking at those fresh legs, especially as you mentioned with Izzy Fairless here on the offensive end, is exactly what they're needing. But continuing to play tough defense as the Raiders with some opportunities here. Kuhn, she's got space. She cuts back. She looks to have one with her left foot, but that's going to be into the arms of Sheriff. No signs of MSOE slowing down whatsoever. They're going to continue to play aggressive, and Sheriff making her 14th save here of the day. Marecki sends that one down near side here. Fairless in a little bit of a battle. That's going to be poked away. It's going to be a throw in for CUC. Fairless going head-to-head with Allison Wiseman. Throw in once again for CUC. A quick and fast-paced game. And CUC ball runners here on the side. They know that a clear hop of the fence to get that ball quickly, not wanting to disappoint CUC, had another throw-in come so quickly. CUC picking up the intensity on their offensive end. Another throw-in for the Cougars. 7 minutes to play here in the match. It's been a back-and-forth battle. If you're just now joining us, you've missed out on a fantastic soccer game so far. Game number 2 of NAC play for CUC. And free kick here, actually, as they look to go corner here. Can they get the cross in? It's going to be deflected on the ground. Marecki, she's able to get a touch on it inside the box, and that's going to be cleared out for a throw in for CUC. Deep throw in inside the box. Marecki gets a head on it, and that's going to go right into the hands of Sanchez.
It's going to be a throw-in.
Some more subs coming in here for the Raiders. MSOE controlling deep outside the box. Cleared away there by, I believe it is Alexandra Rodriguez on that far side.
In the first half, we mentioned the depth that the bench has for both teams. I believe that was actually one of the factors that helped out the Cougars last game, because Rockford had a very, very small bench. And in this game, I feel like it doesn't really make too much of a difference, considering that both teams have a lot of players. The Cougars have a lot of options. It's just, I don't know, this game feels weird. It feels like neither team is really fully in control. But MSOE has just had that little bit of luck, that little bit of opportunity to get those goals in. And the Cougars need something. The Cougars need a little bit of that luck.
Absolutely. I think you're spot on with it, that it's really hard to say if there's any sort of control on one side or another. We've seen a really balanced game. And, I mean, that first goal for the Raiders was an absolute ESPN Sports Center top 10 style shot. But, you know, Brooke Sheriff has done a fantastic job of making saves and making adjustments to make sure that doesn't happen again. And obviously that goal number 2 to, you know, no credit to the Raiders on that, as it was just an unfortunate situation for CUC. But the back and forth battle has really been entertaining to watch, and seeing both teams find little bursts here and there and you know, keep things interesting in this NAC matchup early on in the season. As I mentioned, this MSOE team ended Concordia's season last year in the first round of the NAC tournament. So there is a little bit of a heated battle going back and forth. So you see, feeling that chip on their shoulder, that this team ended their season last year. The Concordia squad had a almost historic season last year, you know, going on to win, I believe it was 6 games straight on their own home turf. They made the NAC tournament for the first time in the regular years. Obviously, there was a COVID season where things were a little bit adjusted, but in regular play, they hadn't made the tournament since, I believe it was 2018. And so these two teams really do have a lot of history and a lot of battle, as that is going to result in a goal kick there. But, I mean, it's been a fun battle to watch.
Yeah, there's always it's always nice when two teams have this little history or this they're big rivals because of some reason. Sometimes it's like with Dominican, and it's in the same town. And other times it's because they eliminated you from a competition. Other times it's just simply there was a bit of, you know, talk between the game where somebody said something, the other person didn't like it, and then there's just, you know, there's that competition, that internal competition.
Yeah, and that's what makes the NAC so special, and what it is it's such a large conference, the Northern Athletics Collegiate Conference, and so there's so many teams, and that causes some of these intermixings that maybe aren't school-wide rivalries, but just a little bit of chip on the shoulder, you know, like you mentioned it with Dominican being in the same town, just down the street here from CUC. It feels like that's just a natural school entirety rival, but when you go sport to sport, that's not always the case. Instead, you find these certain situations where MSOE knocked CUC out of the tournament last year, so now this is a deeper rivalry than maybe it has been in years past for a circumstance. But it is what's so fun about the NAC is having many opportunities for many of these intense rivalries and intense battles.
One thing I will say is that this game, if it ends 2-0, we will have lost by a better score than Dominican did.
And that is always fun to hear. Anytime that CUC can outperform Dominican in any capacity, as a Concordia alum myself, love to hear that. But we did officially hit the 2-minute mark remaining in this game, so the clock is ticking down. Sheriff slowly taking her time to clear this ball out. At this point, just trying to ward off the Raiders, as Sheriff now finally kicks this one out. CUC not slowing down whatsoever, though. They're still playing with that intense, passion that they have, as Chavez really trying to battle for that ball there. And now a throw in for CUC with just about a minute remaining. Kazaras cutting back. She's trying to find some space here. Urbanchek sends that one forward. That's going to be kept in. Kazaras once again back with it. She drops it back, sends it forward. Raiders converging there. Kazaras hits the ground. No whistle. That's going to be broken up by the CUC defense. Under a minute now to play. Raiders with the ball here in the middle of the field. Looks to send the ball in. And has one. And just misses. A great shot there from Natalie Braun. Almost finding that far post. Sheriff not able to get a hand on it, but going just a bit wide. And with that final buzzer, that is going to conclude this match. A heartbreaking 2-0 loss for CUC. Realistically looking at it, should be that 1-0 loss. And as unfortunate as it is to lose in general, looking at this Concordia squad, this is one of the better performances that they've put up against MSOE in recent years. I mentioned that Concordia hasn't had a win over the Raiders since 2013. But in that time frame, the Raiders haven't scored 2 goals since 2023. And again, when you look at how there's 2 goals on the board, realistically, the Raiders only scored 1 goal against this Cougar squad. And the last time the Raiders only scored 1 goal against CUC was in 2018. So despite the fact that the score on the scoreboard and the overall loss, it's difficult to look at, there is a positive in that this CUC team and the defense specifically battled enough.
Yeah, it feels almost a little bit unfair because the scoreline is very tricky. If you look at, like I said, if you look at the stats, it looks like they absolutely crushed us. It's not the case. This game was very even. The goals were very unfortunate, events that, like an own goal and a long shot. It's a very tricky game. So if anybody sees obviously the score and the stats, I would urge you to actually go and watch the entire game because it's not what it really isn't what it shows on the score or in the stat sheet.
Absolutely. And with that loss, CUC moves to 1-1 in the NAC, and NAC play continues to increase in intensity as Concordia's next game is going to be on Wednesday right here in River Forest against the winners of the NAC last year, the Illinois Institute of Technology Scarlet Hawks. So this was just a good battle and test for CUC before they head into some more intense matches as conference play continues to pick up. But, my final thoughts on the day, obviously a loss is tough, but there's a lot of good things and a lot of promise. And I've been saying that all season about this team, and Coach Garza has been saying that in his coaches' weeklies that he does with Concordia Athletics, that there's a lot of promise. There's a lot of young pieces and a lot of movement. And you can see on your screen there, Coach Eddie Garza giving his goalkeeper, Brooke Sheriff, a hug. I mean, she had an absolute standout day. You mentioned it, but I think your player of the game, without a doubt, is Brooke Sheriff. I mean, an absolute lockdown goalkeeper for CUC. The one goal that she allowed in from the Raiders was, an untouchable goal, but 14 saves on the day, a new career high, and that's your player of the game here for CUC.
Yeah, I would say both of the goals were kind of untouchable goals. Even the own goal was just unexpected, and even if she had had time to react, it was going into the top corner, so there really wasn't anything that she could do.
Absolutely. Well, that about does it for us here for game number 1 of our doubleheader today. The men's soccer team taking on MSOE right here on the Cougar Sports Network. As soon as this broadcast concludes, we'll have about 30 minutes between the games. Alfredo will be on the call for that. But I want to give a huge shout out to everybody that made today's production possible. Our camera operators, Rosemary Brenner and Rylan Rimsnyder. Our producer, flying solo for today, making our broadcast look as gorgeous as it always does, Abby Kulig. Operating our scoreboard and PA over on the other side of the press box is Lydia Vonderhaar. And doing stats for us is our Assistant Director of Athletic Communications, Corey Welch, operating table for us. And helping us with our substitutions of the day, Jack Linko. Joining me on the call here, Alfredo Jaramillo Ruiz. Thank you once again. My name is Kayla McLeod, signing off of the Cougar Sports Network. We'll see you for Game 2.
Much for tuning in to today's Concordia University Chicago Cougars Athletics broadcast. We hope to see you on campus very soon. If you would like to learn more about what Concordia Chicago has to offer, go to cuchicago.edu.